Okay, so here we are with Samantha. How are you doing today? Welcome. This is our, next podcast on the Lumina podcast.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, how are you?
I'm really good. I just came out of running a retreat, actually supporting a retreat and co-facilitating with a sister Rosie
Mm,
in Bali. And it was so fun.
mm,
One thing that she mentioned to me at the end, and her boyfriend actually said to me, she has never felt so relaxed before. Like we both were.
mm,
It just flowed so effortlessly. We haven't really gone into anything yet, but facilitation, it's a lot of space to hold.
mm,
And, we were there for a week. So it was a lot of time to be, in an energetic, shamanic, transformative space with men and women for 7 days. And it was
mm.
just so fun and
Wow,
deep, but it was easeful. It was just easeful. So
that
that,
sounds pretty nice, actually.
it's like, I feel like when you first start creating, sometimes it can feel a lot on the nervous system because you're expanding and, you're
Mm,
showing up in new ways that maybe you haven't before and maybe
mm,
for facilitating for the first time. But this time we both just felt so filled up. And
mm.
yeah, so I feel really nourished.
Oh, that's amazing. I remember like going back in time a little bit. I remember when I first saw you and we were I think we were at a ecstatic dance or something. And one of the things I remember is the impression you had on me was like, wow, this person is so easeful. Like there's this sense of easefulness that I really loved in I think just what I witnessed in you and what I was seeing. And I'm
Mm,
wondering if that's something that's always been there for you.
I feel it is a cultivation of peace within. Yeah, of
Mm,
always finding that space within yourself. So it hasn't always been like that. I've had
mm,
depression, anxiety, body dysmorphia, lots of self-hatred, shame. Though there was always this part of me that could move through it, find
mm,
the wisdom, and let's say evolve or expand to be able to hold more peace and to, yeah, just to always come back into the body and find that sense of flow, really, flow state.
mm,
I feel like it's like this flow state that I've been able to
mm,
cultivate over the years.
yeah. Yeah, what comes to mind for me is like I feel like we're living in this world where, at least in my experience, there's so much distraction that's around us. And
Mhm.
I read the other day that being focused or that being in a state of concentration is becoming more and more of a rare thing to have.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if that's something that do you feel like we're in this era of distraction, or does that have an impact on the way that you experience ease, flow, or peace in your life?
Yeah, I feel our intention is our presence. And so, where is our intention going? What are we focusing on? Because what we're focusing on the most is who we are, and it is what we are manifesting. I like to say, creating. It is what we're creating. And so, wherever our attention is always going, I don't really scroll on Instagram or the stories. Every now and then I'm like, boom, and then I'm like, done. I just go on there to connect with people, though I don't like it to pull my attention in. I like to focus on creating or nourishing myself or connecting with people, and
Mm,
from that space, that's where the inspiration flows. So
mm,
really, attention, there's this bombardment of, it's almost like distraction, because when people are truly in their purpose is when people are alive, is when people are sovereign of their own
mm,
energy. Yeah, of
mm,
when people are actually truly making a difference in this world.
mm,
So, yeah, where we're focusing our attention and what our intention is creating a huge ripple effect out into the collective field. And
mm,
so, even if I receive projections or something's happening, I always just like to not the love and light. Let's just bypass, and it's all love. It isn't just all love, though. What is the wisdom of it? You know,
mm,
and
mm,
if it's taking my attention, it's distracting me, and it's putting me down this rabbit hole of doom or gloom, and there's no wisdom there. I'm like, I'm going over here. Yeah. And that's when my
mm,
discernment and boundaries come in with my own. So my own energy isn't leaking and I can cultivate as much life force as I can hold. So then I can
mm,
serve the collective from my unique essence and purpose.
mm,
And that for me is it feels like I'm truly living.
mm. Yeah, yeah, beautiful. What do you do to cultivate this life force? Is it just a practice that's straightforward, or what does that look like for you?
I've never been one to just I have to have a regimented practice and it looks like this and XYZ. That's never really been for me. Though I dance, I sing, I speak gratitude. At the moment,
Mm,
I am doing a practice every day, which is really connecting with an awakened state of love, which is consciousness. It's a vibration, and I move that through my body every day. So I'm basically
mm,
stretching my body open to be able to hold more life force.
mm,
So this is it's like a sweeping through of any debris that I've picked up on the way and always staying in my
mm,
heart. So when situations happen in life, I can meet it from an awakened state of consciousness, which is love. So I can receive the wisdom I need. And, but yeah, I love doing things like dance and embodiment practices. Though before
mm,
that, it was a dark night of the soul for, 2, 3 years, clearing my
mm,
body of all of the emotions that had been repressed and suppressed.
mm,
The more I just allowed myself to feel and go into my
mm,
emotional body, physical body, and purify all of the lies and programming that I was told when
mm,
I was younger, then the more the life force is just there. It's just alive within me. So now it's just a
mm,
practice of nourishing that daily of
mm,
whatever feels good in the moment. Sometimes that's
mm,
resting, just lying in nature. Sometimes that's
mm,
spending time with a friend and just laughing and just being in
mm,
joy.
mm,
So sometimes that's like running around my room, just in full Shakti energy and like, not, just really
yeah,
feminine. And other times I'm just connecting to the more masculine pole of this just pure consciousness and just
yeah,
allowing to
okay.
be present in the field. So I've never just had one, though. Yeah, the more that I purify the illusions, then I just find that it's like this I am consciousness, and
Yeah.
that's where truth lies.
Mm, mm, mm. Yeah, yeah. That's beautiful. Yeah. I think that I was thinking about how we also live in a time where we've probably, as a human race or species, never had access to so many different spiritual practices, people, teachers, and in the same way that maybe the dark side of technology can pull us out of um, being focused and concentrated, there's also so many opportunities to be with new teachings and connect with people that maybe I've never connected with before, even doing a podcast like this with you while we're in different places. And
Mm.
I think that feels exciting to me, that we're in this time where we don't have to choose one thing necessarily. We can explore new ways. And I also think that I don't know if we need to update anything per se, but things are different. Things are, evolving. The pressure that we have on our nervous systems might be more than ever.
Mm.
And there's difference in the lifestyle. I think, we're not sitting under trees all day. Well, you know, maybe some people are, which is pretty nice. Like, I'd love to do more of that.
Yep.
But
Same.
if I'm not in the bush, or sitting under a tree, I'm in a building and I'm doing the work, and there's four walls around me. I might have to bash the walls down, but yeah. So yeah, I feel like times have changed a bit.
Completely. And it's the acceleration of creation and manifestation or destruction is just happening so quickly. And I feel simultaneously. And the more I'm allowing myself to just hold, like I've got some big old things coming through at the moment, which I have buried for 10 years because I felt so much shame and self-hatred and so many different emotions, anger, rage, grief. And I've just been feeling them all because they're showing up in my life. Yeah, they're blocking me at the moment from being able to serve most powerfully as I can at this time. And yeah, the more that I'm just allowing, 3 years ago, I was just in the death. I wasn't in the creation. I was just dying for 2 years. I was just surrendering to, the void and seeing all these parts of myself and just allowing them to be presented. And now I'm doing the same, but I'm also creating every day. And then these parts come through and there's this emotion that comes. I'm like, okay, what is this? And I just allow it to move through without making a story about it and focusing on what it is. I'm like, oh, I love you. That part of you, of course you're feeling like that. Just feel it now. Just feel it. Nothing else. I just hold everything with love and just allow it to be felt. And then the next moment, I've just got so much life force running through my body where I'm like, what? And then I just, like, as you said, like regulate that back into my nervous system ground so I'm not flying up there somewhere. And I'm just finding like both of these energies just existing simultaneously at a rapid speed right now.
Wow. Wow.
For myself anyway, and I work with a lot of men and women who are also very purpose driven and here serving their collective. And yeah, it's fascinating to witness their journey as well.
You mentioned that there was that period of 2 or 3 years where you're in this void or this dark this dark time. What was that like? Like what was that? What was happening for you?
Where do I start? I really, one thing that I will say is I moved when I was maybe, I'm not very good with dates. I would say I moved about 6 years ago from Sydney to Byron Bay. And I was a hairdresser for 20 years. And it just wasn't for me anymore. It was exhausting me, even for that 20 years, because I guess I was a sensitive, From some trauma when I was younger, I cultivated sensitivity so I could control my environment and I could survive, basically. So I had these sensitivities and I would feel people's pain. I was just a classic empath and I would feel people's pain. So I was in pain all the time for this 20 years. And about 19 years in, I kept kind of hearing these like, you're a healer, yeah? Or there's something else for you. And I just kind of ignored it. I was like, me, there's no way. And I had found the path of yoga at that time. and I was learning about myself a bit more and who I was within my community and my friends. And I left a lot of friend groups and started finding people who were in alignment. Though I kept ignoring these slight little whispers of intuition that I was here for something else. So what happened was my body broke down. I had a lot of pain. I was forced to be in bed for 3 months. And bit by bit, my body just started breaking down. So really, the universe, spirit, as I like to say, is, hey, there's something else for you, and you're not meant to do this anymore. So really how I heard it was, it's time to move on. This isn't your place anymore. There's something else for you. So I moved to Byron Bay and I bought a food truck with my partner at that time. One year later, that whole business has crumbled because I created that business to create safety for myself because I thought it was going to make me a lot of money. And obviously a lesson of mine is to know that that's not creating safety for you, and I can only cultivate that within. And so that all crumbled, and I moved into my car for a year and a half after getting a cafe job to try and pay my rent because I ended up getting kicked out of my house. So many things happened on that journey. So on this dark night of the soul, it was really tough. I was in tens of thousands of dollars of debt. I didn't know who I was. I was lost. Yeah, me and my partner just broke up just before I lost everything. Then I got kicked out of the house. I worked in the cafe. I was like, this is not for me. So I made a declaration in that moment. I'm never going to work a day. I'm never going to work a job ever again that sucks the life force out of me. So I'd heard the little messages, right? I was hearing them again. I'm like, I don't know what I'm here to do, but I will listen. I'll show up for this. So I just went in. I saw healers. I sat with a lot of plant medicine, kind of found the shamanic path of healing. And it felt like I didn't know who I was. I lost myself. I was in a really, really, really dark place, while all of the depression and the anxiety and the old stories just bubbled up through me to be purified through my body. Yeah, I felt like I didn't know who I was. I felt like I had no personality. It was really hard to be in public. It was hard to be around any of my friends because during that, all of my psychic abilities started opening up. So really, my purpose was starting to be revealed. I started speaking to entities. I started having entity attacks. I would be sick in bed for days. It was a whole shamanic, really, initiation to call me onto my path as someone who's here to support people to heal and to step into purpose. And it was a really, really, really dark time. But I'm so happy I trusted it and I went into it. So it was lesson after lesson after lesson after lesson.
Wow. Was it that time period where you started to develop a more deep connection to what you refer to as spirit?
Yes. That was already happening since about the age of 14. I would have this like wisdom that would come through me to support me out of depression where I was self-harming. And I would say, do this, and do that, where no one in my family or no one in my environment was telling me any of this. And I would use it and I would get out of that depression a week later. I wouldn't be having the thoughts that I was having anymore. I started having like astral traveling. I started having prophetic dreams, which had happened exactly when I was dreaming them. I was starting to have telepathy happen where I'd literally read people's thoughts and say like, are you thinking this? They're like, yes. I'm like, and it was random stuff, you know, it's not like, wow, the sky's blue and it's so pretty. It would be specific things that they were thinking. They're like, how did you know that? I'm like, I don't know. And I remember when I was younger, I had some old friends say to me, you always say that you knew that. And they thought it was me wanting to receive attention. And I'm like, I don't know. I just knew that was going to happen, or
mm,
I knew they felt that way. And I always just trusted that. But I had a lot of people that would reflect back to me that I was just kind of seeking attention. I was just very attuned to energy and to being able to
mm,
read the soul of people.
mm, mm. Yeah. I remember watching this is sort of like a vague memory I have. I was watching a video or a documentary, and within that documentary, I think the theme of it was around consciousness. They were talking about how people with psychic distant viewing abilities were used, I want to say, by Russia during, the First or the Second World War. And so it was at that time almost like this thing that people were embracing, right? They were embracing it more to create a certain outcome. In this case, it was war. But I think that, that there is that real ability that I think what I'm hearing you possess, you know?
Yeah, it can be used for good,
Mm,
or it can be used for evil. Yeah, I've
mm,
been working with a lot of clients at the moment who have had black magic used against them. Yeah, these powers not for the good, and it's really caused a lot of harm and havoc to their life and their family.
mm,
And it can be used for good.
mm,
Be able to come in and read this information and understand what they've actually. I really like to believe in radical responsibility, like really
mm,
empowering people to feel that no one else's power is stronger than their own. So we're
mm,
not handing over our power to someone else. Because
mm,
when I was having these entity attacks, I was so scared that these beings were more powerful than me, and I would end up in bed for a week. And I didn't know how to protect
mm,
myself. I didn't know. Yeah. And then there were other times where I was really able to help, let's say, earthbound spirits who maybe have been killed or passed over to transfer and not be stuck on the land anymore. Yeah. And transfer back to source, to spirit. So there were times where it was a multiple initiation on all levels, with relationship, with spirit, with the unseen, with myself, yeah, with my family.
mm,
So, um, but yeah, I feel that there are so many more, because it's just a skill that I cultivated. And it's
mm,
something I believe that I signed up to experience before I came here. So I had quite a rapid awakening. Someone could have
mm,
signed up to have quite a rapid awakening because they're doing the same thing, but they're not really showing up for it. I just went all in to the point that I moved into my car and said, I'm all in, I'll do this.
mm,
Because I'm going to my body's going to break down. I'm going to lose everything again. Like, no, no, no.
mm,
I don't want to be a
mm,
victim to life. I want to create. I don't know what that is, but I want to step forward to it
mm,
and
mm,
into it, which looked like going completely back in the opposite direction, but I knew it wasn't.
mm. Yeah, yeah. It kind of reminds me, in my, past career, how long ago was that now? Probably I want to say 5 or 6 years, where I was working as a management consultant, and I sort of felt like that's a title that maybe has some sort of status in the corporate world. Like, there's some sort of like, oh, wow, this elitism or something around that. And I spent a long time to get to that point where I could get a job like that, work in that space, an undergraduate degree, a postgraduate degree. And then I came to the realization that it wasn't actually it wasn't right for me. And so on so many levels that felt, I don't want to say it felt wrong, because it never felt wrong for
Mm,
me. It never felt wrong inside me, but I did, there was some sort of, uh, it was wrong on a cultural, social level. It was wrong to not do that, you know, because there was so much like, wow, you've made it into this job. And so, yeah, I can relate to what you're saying in my own way, that there's a journey of sort of thinking that on some level, on a social cultural level, doesn't make sense and it's not progress, but on a maybe more of a soul level or a spiritual level, it
Yes.
is. And I
Yes.
think that that's a real piece, you know, that's a real piece of the game or something, you know, like leaning into
Literally.
that, leaning into the truth, leaning
Mm.
out of social cultural norms and conventions.
Yep. Yep. I feel that I always had a rebellious spirit. And so that helped me to embody more of my soul and hold more of my spirit. Yeah. And sometimes that really didn't do me any favors as well. Though really, that's really my ego speaking. It did me favors because I had so many lessons to learn from being too rebellious. Yeah, which would
Mm,
get me in trouble, but I needed to learn those lessons.
mm,
Yeah, I was never, yeah, and I really honor everyone's path. And I feel that that is the radical responsibility of not saying, oh, an acknowledgement of our path. We're exactly where we need to be in every moment, but we always have a choice to choose a new route. And it's not the easier one because we have been programmed for life to, you know, be painted with this picket white fence. And yeah, like I'm 39 and I'm single. I don't have children. And when I was younger, that was like, oh my God, she's the single one. If there were people who were older and they were single, it was like taboo. It was like
mm,
she's alone and not happy. And yeah, it's like
mm,
it's just dismantling all of that and choosing myself and my own truth again and again and again. My own
mm,
passion, my what fills me up, not anyone else.
mm,
What is truly authentic for me, not my parents, not society, not culture, none of that. And
mm,
that's not the easiest path to walk. I have left multiple friend groups. I've had multiple relationships crash down. Yeah, though I keep learning and just feeling so alive and happy with myself the more I truly walk my own path.
mm,
And
mm.
it just lights up from within me. Like I'm generally, even when I'm in like, die again, I'll just like the next minute I'm laughing because I'm
Yeah.
truly have cultivated happiness for someone who, you know, used to starve herself and was depressed and took drugs for 15 years
Mm,
every day. Yeah, is to be where I'm at now and generally feel happy. I don't need a drink or drugs. Yeah,
mm,
I'm just connecting with spirit and I'm just following my authentic soul path and I'm
mm,
doing what feels right for me. And um yeah, that is aliveness. That is peace. That is peace for me.
mm, mm. Beautiful. Have you ever had, or maybe a better question of way of asking it, how important has mentorship been for you in your own journey?
Mine was a little bit different. A lot of people have mentors or they go to a lot of trainings. Yes, I went to shamanic trainings. I did a Reiki certification.
Mm,
I studied yoga
mm,
and I didn't actually have a mentor until last year. Um, Really, it was like my mentor was from being able to read, they call it the Akashic Records. It's like your own soul's database since its point of existence. And it has every thought, feeling, word action that's ever happened, and it's kind of like the soul's blueprint written into it. So
Wow.
when my psychic ability started opening up, I would just read that. I cultivated a relationship with God, universe, spirit, and I would say, what am I here to do? I would have this like holy communion, let's say. Yeah, this conversation with God. And I would ask, what am I here to do?
Mm.
And if I didn't find it out, I'd say, okay, put the people, places, or situations, the books, the teachings on my path that are meant for me specifically to take me where I am meant to go.
Mm.
That is
Mm.
not an easy path to walk, though it is the most alive for my soul. It is the most aligned for me authentically, not what other people are doing. So I guess that rebellious spirit and that part
Mm.
of me, when I was 14, I had a lot of older friends and they're like, how do you know this wisdom? Like, is it your parents? Is it your... And I'm like, I don't know. So it was
Mm.
almost like my soul was here to be able to channel specific information, not because I hold more wisdom, it's because I've like, this is a skill that I've cultivated to be able to do, which everyone can have access to, depending on where
Mm.
you are in your path. And I, so my mentor really was God, was spirit.
Mm.
And I
Mm.
listened. And when I listened and I received, I made a choice or I took action to
Mm.
actualize my purpose path and what I was
Mm.
here to do. So when I received it, I wasn't just like, oh God, that scares me. I was like, okay, I know within the root of this fear is the desire. If I'm so scared of being seen and heard,
Mm.
then my desire is to be seen and heard. Yeah.
Mm.
And so I would make choices to go into that fear, or into that thing that I was creating. There's boundaries and then there's just like walls of protection. So I would kept
Mm.
breaking down those walls which were protecting me and truly suffocating my soul. And I would break them down slowly, and make choices again and again and again and again, which for me dissolved the illusions, dissolved the false egoic self, and actually started allowing me to embody more of my soul and
Mm.
receive more spirit. Because I was saying, okay, I hear you. Wow, that's so scary. Who am I to support people healing? Like, me? Like, I had so much
Mm.
fear, so much lack of self-worth. So, like, one of my greatest fears was to talk in front of people, and look where we are now.
Mm.
There was no, like, I just got goosebumps because it was like, that was such a big fear for me. I was like, I will never speak in front
Mm.
of anyone. Yeah. Because I was so shut down when I was younger. And when I spoke truth or when I was in my joy, it was like, why are you feeling that? What do you, yeah? And
Mm.
so just my protection so I could cope and survive.
Mm.
The more I went into that and the more I took these choices and actions and said, okay, I know this really scares me, but what's on the other side? Me being able to speak, feeling worthy of being heard, me feeling confident enough to express my desires. Because as well, desire in creation, I feel, is one of the highest frequencies. Paired with intention, which my intention was, every day I'd come in with an intention and I'd just co-create with spirit, with God, and allow my desires to have more access, because I'd move into the root of whatever I was blocking myself from. And
Mm.
it was just tiny little choices and actions. So spirit and God was my greatest mentor,
Mm.
and purifying my body of so much illusion and ego allowed
Mm.
me to act my truth again and again and again and again.
Mm.
And it took a
Yeah.
lot of patience and self-compassion, because there are a lot of parts of me that I did not like coming up. And even last week, I'm like, oof, wow, I hate that part of me. Okay, let's bring it up. Wow, okay. You know? And it's from 10 years ago, this thing coming up for me at the moment, but it's like, okay, again, it's just
Yeah.
mastering this journey of it coming up and being like, okay, I see you, I love you, you know? You didn't know back then, but you
Mm.
know. And yeah, just all these little choices and communing with a greater power greater than me, and my purpose is greater than me, and allowing everything to be greater than me, and just stepping out of the way and saying, show me, I'll do it. And I did,
Mm.
slowly, one step at a time, baby steps, without being attached to an outcome or what it's meant to look like,
Mm.
because it's greater than me.
Mm.
It's not about me.
Mm.
And so yeah, it's been a incredible journey, because I've been able to support people from my own deaths and my own journeys and my own reckoning and remembrance, and
Mm.
not just teaching from a book. I've actually only ever finished one book. I'm not much of a reader, um, but it's been direct connection with God and spirit.
Yeah. Wow. I remember when we were both in Byron Bay, and I was going through a bit of a tough time, and you reached,
Mm.
I think you might have very intuitively messaged me,
Mm.
and you ended up offering me a session. And I was like, wow, this this person is just so good at holding space, such a space
Yeah.
holder. And yeah, just it felt like I was being really, really met, and I felt like I wanted to say that. Yeah.
Mm. I'm so happy you felt met and you felt held, and that's I believe, you know, and that you actually received as well. Because I say to
Mm.
spirit, if I'm meant to go somewhere, it's not about money. If I'm meant to go somewhere, if I'm needed somewhere, then let me know.
Mm.
It just happened here in Bali. I kept getting this, that there was a facilitator that's just been holding this huge breathwork space for 6 months. And I go there and I am in complete uh like I'm fully there with what he's doing. Like I love what he's doing. I'm in complete support. And I said to spirit, because part of what's crumbling for me is there's a part of me that when I lost everything, it's actually 5 years ago, not three. um
Mm.
that this part of me, I realized a few weeks ago, is so scared of building herself back up, because she's afraid of being put on the streets and not being able to afford food and losing everything again.
Mm.
And with that has a lot of all these stories from the past, which I didn't actually want to tell people my full story, because I had so much shame around it, and I'm just starting to release it now. And with that is a lot of emotion. And so in that, yeah, where this part of me built herself back up after I lost everything, but from survival. My
Mm.
heart in the purity of service, as you can feel, is not like that. But there's a part of me that's like, let's do and create so I can survive again.
Mm.
And I didn't even realize that part of me is still in there. It's in my nervous system, right?
Mm.
And it's locked in there. It's like, no, 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 no more. This is too much. Oh, no, no, we can't serve that great, because like we're going to lose it all again. It's not safe to build myself back up, because it's going to crumble, and then we're going to be back where we were. So I'm actually at the moment clearing that out of my nervous system.
Mm.
And I said during this time, okay, I don't want to serve from survival. So spirit, if there's people here in Bali that I'm meant to serve, then show me. You know, I was like, money wasn't coming in, clients weren't coming in. It's not about that. It's not about money. It's not about
Mm.
that. Where am I meant to serve? How am I meant to serve right now? My friend invites me on a retreat, which wasn't in exchange for money. I got to support, I got to facilitate space. You know, I got to support women through deep transformation. And then I got to support a beautiful man for breath work and another brother who's been moving through a lot of stuff as well. And I was just like, I've been going to this cafe where they have this oracle deck, and I've just been reading people's souls to support them on the integration of their journey. And I'm just like, someone give from the purity of my heart, not because I need to survive. No, we're done with that. Yeah. So sometimes there's times where it's just like, okay, where am I guided? Yeah. And I just felt you deeply at that time. And I was like, am I meant to offer? It's like, yes. I'm like, okay. And that's just that constant conversation that I have going. I don't make, I yes, have free will to a point of like, am I catching a bus or am I getting the train? Like, what am I going to eat today? Do I want to do my practice or do I not? But again, there's this higher purpose that is guiding me in every moment, and I'm attuned to that, and I just follow that path. And so in that moment, it was being in service to you, which, just in the purity of it all. Yeah. And that felt so nourishing for my soul just to offer, not because I need to fix anyone or make anyone different, just because I was guided to do that in that moment. And I heard, maybe he doesn't want to go to other people, but with you, he'll receive it. And it was the same for these other two brothers. And then hearing their story, I heard that one didn't trust anyone, so they're not receiving the support, and the other was getting people saying, we want to hold space for you, and he just didn't feel comfortable. And then when I came up, he's like, okay, yes, I'll receive. Yeah, so I know that there's always a reason why, and I just trust that. I have complete faith in that. Sometimes I wobble. I have not mastered it. But at the end of the day,
we're only human,
I am completely human. At times, and it's like, yeah, my humanity is really strong as well. And it's like, but I always know where to come back to. And it's just a faster approach. So maybe I would have been stuck in it for a month and then 2 weeks or a week. And now it's like, oh, there that is. Okay, move that through. Okay, there's that. There's that message. All right, let's put that into action straight away.
Yeah. Beautiful. Yeah. I've been thinking a little bit about that. Like, wow, I'm looking back on my life, and I'm looking back on some of the changes that I've had. And sometimes I wonder, I do, I go through hard times, it's just part of life. And what have I really done? What have I really done with all of this? But I do know that you mentioned speed, and I never really have an intention of speed, but I feel like I'm not in it like I was, I'm not in it like I used to be. Used to be long, much, much deeper, much, I would just say longer in some sense. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if longer is the right word, but, yeah. Different,
and can I say one
different.
thing? When I say speed, I mean, we can alchemize emotions in an instant. Just like I said, I might have been stuck in it for a month. Yeah, because we've kind of been in the third density, which is heavier, it's slower. Now we're coming up into the fourth. Yeah, the fifth and the sixth is more in the ethereal realms where we have a greater connection to just tap into source and spirit. And time is irrelevant. And so it's just this instant. It's like, what are we creating? It's not like, oh, I've got to rush around and do it. It's just like, who am I really? And what am I creating? And all of the other, laws of the universe that we can work with, and things can just like miracles and magic. Yeah. Just open up and they're right there. Does that, because I don't want to think that I'm saying speed as in like quick, because we don't want to be like, yeah, but it's like we have access to so much more than what we may realize. Like when I thought of my purpose and when it actually came to after the dark night of the soul, when I was like, okay, what is my purpose? Things came through instantly. A festival, retreats, healing started channeling through me from being someone who just lived in their car on a dark night of the soul to 3 months later had
Mm.
created an event, had created a retreat, which people said to me, how are you going to run a retreat if you've never been to one? I'm like, I'm going to run it how I would want it to be, because I've just
Mm.
been on this journey. So I know what feels good for me. I don't need a facilitation training. I don't need a
Hell yeah.
certificate how to do this. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's that little rebel in me. It's like, no, no, no. I know. I trust myself.
Mm.
And so things were just like coming in so quickly.
Mm.
And so, and you mentioned, like I have hard times, and I'm like, what have I done? I feel like the more that we just have compassion, when we have when we care is almost
Mm.
like we're in the past or we're in the future, where compassion is like in the present. It has total
Mm.
forgiveness. It has complete wisdom. It has full presence. Yeah. And that's how
Mm.
we can access creation. So there
Mm.
is a timeline. Some are slower, some are faster. Yeah. But the more that we can just hold that present moment of that, like I am presence, and just have compassion for our journey and just get out
Mm.
of the way, then things start opening up. Like, who knows what's going to open up for you while you're here and, through
Mm.
these podcasts. And like, tomorrow is a new day. Yeah. We feel like we're
Yeah.
like, I'm stuck in the death all the time. It's like, that's for a very good reason.
Mm. Mm. And what would you say to someone who's maybe they're on the early stage of their sort of, I don't know if awakening is a right word, let's go with that term. Maybe they're in a dark night of the soul. Maybe they're feeling this like grief of separation from something. Is there
Mm.
anything you would say to them, yeah, from your experience?
Okay. Um, Sometimes when people come to me with this feeling of grief, of separation, and this isn't exactly what it is, right? But this is just what I see a lot with the people when I work with them in sessions. When they come to me with this, and I've already channeled their Akashic records, and it's all about what the healing's about to be, what the contracts are, what emotions are trapped in their body, yeah, XYZ, what the story is still alive within the nervous system, is it's like this when we were created, right? We were just creation. And then this like spark goes off and we're like disconnected from God, from the
Mm.
creator. And then we're thrown into this like human experience, right? And there can be a lot of grief from that I find even when I'm in group programs. I'm like, okay, I keep getting this message that there's someone in here who has a God complex. Yeah,
Mm.
that it's like there's all this grief from being separate from the creator, from being separated from what is within them.
Mm.
Yeah, and feel the grief. Don't make a story about it. The
Mm.
story is allowing the cycle to perpetuate, and it's becoming a prophecy that is being fulfilled.
Mm.
And that's where we get stuck in the spiritual trap of the doom and gloom. Yeah. Or
Mm.
people like prophesizing doom and gloom, or, focusing too much on the pain. It's like, it just wants to be felt. It just wants to have a space from an awakened state of
Mm.
love, consciousness, to be expressed and held through so it can move
Mm.
through. And then what's the wisdom there?
Mm.
What is the
Mm.
wisdom that wants to be known? Yeah, what is the embodied expression of the divine that wants to actually penetrate to you from this grief, from this
Mm.
feeling of separateness? And then it's like, ask, show me, what am I here to do? Put the people, like, surprise me with someone, you know, and then just a connection to the body, because it moves, the
Mm.
intelligence moves through the body.
Mm.
And I feel when it's inspiration, and I feel when it's like, actually, no. Some people might say, hey, I don't have any money. Can and there's something there, which is a thread, which it's like, no, actually, I can't feed that. and that doesn't
Mm,
feel right for me because I'll just have a no in my body. And other times
mm,
I will, is that a yes or a no? And I'm like, oh yes, they've been put on my path for a reason. Okay, yes.
mm,
Um, I'm going off topic a little bit there, but yeah, it's feel all those emotions. Yeah, what is it? Is it something from when you're a child where you feel like you're not enough because you're not? Yeah, it's like, what is the actual at the root of that, of that story, of that expression that is
mm,
coming through that has been suppressed for who knows how long? What is the
mm,
wisdom there? What is the alchemy that wants to take place in the process of it becoming known?
mm. Amazing.
Does that make sense?
I think that it feels like it's a process that you go through perhaps energetically, and I think definitely parts of it for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's like when we allow that, it's just it's a story. It's not the actual truth
Mm,
because your soul's exactly where it needs to be and it's experiencing exactly what it needs to experience and the lessons that it needs to embody to be able to um I like to say expand, but we can say evolve.
mm,
Um
mm,
so yeah, it's this because when we come to that, like, I am, that just that presence, it's like I am already everything that I need. And
mm,
instead
mm,
of this imprint that, like, you're not doing enough, yeah, you're not
mm,
there yet, you're XYZ, so then you're a failure. Yeah,
mm,
it's like there's all these kind of stories and fabrications and illusions and conditions that have been programmed into us that we're still choosing to keep alive.
mm,
And yes, the story made me feel very real. I'm not there yet. Yeah. For those
mm,
3 years, it was like, just, I'm in the void. But I just allowed myself to be there. I did what
mm,
I needed to do and work in a job to be able to support myself
mm,
so I could just be where I was. And I didn't need to be somewhere else than where I actually was.
mm. Yeah.
But it's not often the emotion that's coming up. The mind makes a story about it, but it's often not actually, it's not what it is. When you get into the
Mm,
energetics of it and you allow that to move through, there's a tangible shift within the body.
mm. Yeah. Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, I used
Yeah.
to think that I'm not enough. And now look, oh, there's this opportunity just came in
Mm,
because I truly allow myself to feel that instead of keeping the story of it alive.
mm, mhm,
These things that are coming through for me right now, they've been a lot to feel. Shame is a lot to feel. Failing, yeah.
mm,
I got $440,000 off my grandfather and I have nothing to show for it. The weight of that, there's still a little niggle in my body. I'm like, okay, more to release. But when I
mm,
said the shame, I didn't feel anything. Yeah, when I say the rage, I don't feel anything. But there's parts when I speak, I'm like, oh, there's something still there. So when I feel
mm,
that little niggle or like I just got hot and started sweating, it's like, oh,
mm,
okay, there's something there.
mm. Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. And I'm so glad that we've been able to just like dip ourselves into some of this. I feel like
Just a little dip.
it's like there's all these rabbit holes open in my, and we could go into them, but
Mm,
if someone is interested in working with you, what
mm,
does that look like?
mm. So I run online programs, which shift from teachings of working with spirit, communing with spirit, um, accessing to being able to access your soul and what you're here to do, and really being able to attune to your own inner wisdom. Um, really, I love like big alchemical shamanic portals, as you know, to support people through to be held in a safe space to just feel the emotion that hasn't been felt yet.
Mm.
And also, I really support women in these spaces as well to step into their purpose so they can move from holding more victim consciousness or playing out the old stories to really using the wisdom that they've cultivated from that to create and to share their purpose. So I really support the activation of a lot of healers, creatives, visionaries, facilitators. I support them to become who they're truly here to become. And then I run like psychic, somatic, energy work and mentorship programs where people who are really ready to transform their life and they don't want to be where they are and they know there's something more for them and they want to
Mm.
go in and purify again their vessels, step into their purpose. And then I do one-on-one sessions and psychic readings as well. Yeah, so I have multiple things always going. I also
Amazing.
have a community online where people can kind of like taste what I'm offering and the teachings that I'm offering and
Mm.
the alchemy healing spaces that I am holding.
Mm.
And yeah, and I run a festival if anyone ever wants to come play in Byron Bay called Sacred Heart,
Nice.
which you haven't come yet, excuse me.
I got to get down there. I don't know what I've been
Have
doing.
come. You'll love it. People there are
Yeah.
chef's kiss. They're so beautiful. It's the vibration and the frequency of the festival is like nothing that I've been to
Mm.
or experienced before. Not saying that there's definitely festivals out there like that and of bigger scale.
Mm.
Though yeah, it's something else.
Mm. Amazing. And yeah, is there anything else you'd like to share before we wrap things up?
Just trust yourself, trust the timing of your path. Can you hear the rain?
Yeah.
Um, allow the rain to wash over everything that isn't true so you can just keep,
Nice.
everyone has a purpose and some of that, it's not, you don't receive money off it, but it's your purpose is just to, maybe your purpose is to do a podcast, right? It's like sometimes we need something to be grander than what it is. And it's actually so simple in its essence. And yeah, it's like, can we just be okay with where we're at right now and love ourselves entirely from where we are now?
Mm.
Because that truly starts changing everything and not reaching outside of ourselves for it, actually coming back in and giving it to ourselves from ourselves first.
Mm.
And then the life just reflects that in the most exquisite, beautiful ways.
Mm.
So yeah, I'm really grateful to
Oh,
be
that's
with
amazing.
you. Yeah.
Thank you so
Uh,
much. Yeah.
and witness your journey. And,
Mm.
we've both been through some really dark, heavy, hard times, and we both keep showing up and creating.
Yeah.
We're here today sharing our story, sharing any wisdom. And as I always say, it's like, take whatever I say with a grain of salt. It might not resonate with you, but for me, this I'm just sharing from my own path and my own journey and what's worked for
Mm.
me.
Mm. Amen. I think
Yeah.
we need more of that.
Yeah. I'm not for everyone, and that's okay. I'm not meant to be, and
Yeah.
different people will feel magnetized to you because you've been on that journey, and other people are magnetized to me because I've been on that journey and I have something that I can share with them and support them
Mm.
with. So yeah, I
Mm.
really trust in that.
Amazing. Well, thank you for the audience tuning into this episode of the Lumina podcast. And
Yeah.
we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you, Nick.
Bye.